Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's SCI webinar. We're going to talk about a great topic with respect to the upcoming DoD Weapons Software Summit. I'm great to have that. We have a great panelist as well, and who are really building up that event, which we're going to see end of December. And we would like to really dive into what is the highlights today about the Software Summit, what things we are trying to challenge, find out the solution for those challenges, what are the typical problems we have been saying it so that we can use those challenges and potential solutions or getting together under the Software Summit Symposium. Before starting, I would like to a little bit talk about who am I. I'm Hassan Yasser. I'm a technical director under Software Engineering Institute and managing the Continuous Deployment Capability Directorate. I'm a teaching professor as well at the CMU, teaching DevOps courses and DevSecOps and supporting various programs under the DoD with respect to DevSecOps and Agile. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to John. John, you want to start, introduce yourself, and then dive into the Software Summit?
Thanks, Hassan. Yeah, absolutely. And good afternoon, everyone. John Schultz here. I'm from the Office of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Material Readiness. Fancy way to say OSD. So my role is I'm the Director of the Industrial Based Strategy here in OSD-MR. And one of my primary missions is to organize and run the annual DoD Maintenance Symposium. So I'd like to talk to you quickly about that first before we dive in specifically to the Software Summit, which fits underneath the umbrella of the Maintenance Symposium. So one, it is 18 to 21 December this year in San Diego at the Convention Center there locally. Annually, we expect around 2,000 attendees from military, government, industry, academia. Our allies and partners have taken a specific interest this year and will be in attendance. For all of you that are interested and wonder, hey, is this an approved DoD event? How do I get my command to know this is important? We have displayed on a slide there a note signed out from the Undersecretary of Defense for A&S Honorable Plant that approves this event, that encourages full participation. So if you would like a copy of this or need a copy, you could reach out to any of the SEI teammates or myself or Parker Bauer who are online for that. But let's talk a little bit more about what the symposium and the summit has to offer. So you could see there are some associated meetings that fit underneath that umbrella. So what you hear from is some of the most senior leaders, right? Often we get questions on who should attend this. Well, quite honestly, you'll have everything from a 4-star to someone from the shop floor at an installation. There is something for everyone at this event. We'll hear strategic messaging to tactical messaging. You'll hear about maintenance, innovation, and technologies that help the soldier in the motor pool to one of the artisans at the depot floor, to and also a software engineer right at one of the activities or engineering centers within the Army. So again, a huge variety of not just Software Summit. Your registration includes all of what you see here and what you'll see on the website. So again, I wanted to open up the aperture a little bit and understanding that this is just not the summit. The summit is underneath the umbrella of the symposium, and that is a benefit to all that attend. So now let's talk a little bit more about the Software Summit. You'll see our ad displayed up there with beautiful San Diego and a great time of year. So we hope, one, that attracts you to the event, but that's not what's important, right? What's important is this brings our community together. Last year, if you participated, you may have heard me say, hey, this is an event by software engineers for software engineers. And that's truly how this content was developed. And we'll get into a lot of those specifics here in a second. But this wasn't John Schultz or Parker Bauer sitting in our cubes deciding what topics to talk about. We had partners like Hassan, Sean Brady out of A&S, Alan DeHanick out of R&E, Nate Becker out of the Army, Mr. Garrett Shoemaker out of CCOM SEC. The minds of the software community came together and were very particular on the topics that were selected and then the technical sessions that you'll see here in a second. So this is our second year, and we have expanded. Again, if you were there last year, we had about 12 to 14 technical sessions that were fantastic, about 250 participants. So we put a call for abstract out about 3-4 months ago and asked for participants. What do you want to hear? How can we collaborate? How can we move the department and advance in this world of software? And we received over 70 abstracts. We had a contract that only allowed us to have enough for about 18 rooms, and we pivoted, and we made a couple adjustments and got an extra day, got an extra room, and we're happy to announce that we'll be having close to 40 sessions that again were molded by the software engineers, right? They were scrutinized. There was specific criteria. Their quality, and we're really excited that to bring this opportunity to all of you. So with that, I'll pause and turn it over to my colleague Parker Bauer to talk more of the specifics of the summit.
Good afternoon or good morning, everybody, and we appreciate you all being here. My name is Parker Bauer. I am actually a civilian in the U.S. Air Force, and I work at Hill Air Force Base. My role is the director of the Software Technology Support Center, and my day job has primarily two duties besides organizing the Software Summit. One, I'm a software supply chain risk management SME for the Air Force and participate in communities of practice across the entire DoD to contribute in that area. And I'm also a software and systems engineering consultant providing those services across the DoD to Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps bases across the DoD, where we go in and teach software engineers how to be more disciplined in the way they do their software engineering work. But we're here today to talk about the Software Summit, and we're real excited this year to have had the response we've had so far. And I just wanted to hit some quick highlights from last year. We had, as John mentioned, about 250, 240. Different people had different counts. We had a lot of sessions. It's interesting to note that attendees, we had a high number of defense industrial base participants. Air Force dominated with the Navy behind it and Army coming up close to second. And our speakers, largely DoD and FFRDC. We appreciate our FFRDC support, and we had a handful of industry participants. Our topics last year, you'll notice, not entirely different from what John described as topics this year, because this is what the community demanded, what the community wanted. And we took that input from the community. And these are some of the things the community told us last year. We had over 130 comments about things that went well, things that didn't go so well, and other ideas. And we drew ideas from you all and from those who participated in it. Folks really wanted more time to talk to each other and more time for Q&A in the sessions, more time for collaboration between sessions. And, you know, the registration has been confusing. We've tried to clarify that a little bit this year. You all have a discount code you can use to only pay $525 for all of the symposium, the summit content, and meals as well. And so feel free to use that code. I believe it's in the chat. And we will, we reduce the number of keynotes, and we'll talk about the content here in a minute. Let's see, what can we share? So this year, I think I jumped slides here. This year we are having just under 40 technical sessions and one panel discussion and one keynote. We're excited to announce our keynote will be a F-16 pilot, in addition to some content from OSD and some of our senior software leaders. We will have a pilot who is also a software SME talking to us about the beauty of the organic software engineering community and the things that helped him be a better warfighter. He's spoken to us before in some smaller groups and well received. Notice our speakers, while it shows a higher percentage of DoD participants and fewer FFRDC, and about the same industry percentage of participants. One thing that has changed is instead of a heavy Air Force content, because the Air Force had a heavy role in organizing it last year, this year we had a broader base of participation and broader announcements and broader leadership organizing this. And so we have very high number of Army. The Army dominates the presentations, followed with the Navy, and then the Air Force is in third place. But you can see the topics there, very pertinent to today's warfighters and problems we need to solve in our ecosystem. So yeah, we talked about the pilot being the keynote. Some of our notable speakers. We have some of you are involved in software assurance and the SBOM side of software assurance. We have Dr. Alan Friedman, who is the U.S. government, and I would dare say the U.S. expert and point of contact for SBOM, and he will address us on what's coming next besides SBOM. And he has all the latest information from the collective of the entire DoD and government and private industry community on what's going on in SBOM, and he will share with us what we need to be concerned about. Dr. Hassan, who is with us today, he will talk about a very important topic, how technical debt can be assisted with AI and a DevSecOps environment in developing the important systems that we develop. We have a couple representatives from some of our national labs who will speak to us about some firmware analysis and how to help develop software as a part of a system of a larger system. So I'm also going to highlight a couple other speakers here in a moment, but I also wanted to give a quick plug for tutorials. We will be sending out a advertising blurb here just after the Thanksgiving holiday to invite folks to sign up, because we'll limit our registration to 50 people for the second tutorial on advanced DevSecOps methods. The executive tutorial, we're going to reserve that to by invitation. However, if you know of leaders who want to participate, or you are a leader who wants to participate, contact any of the team here today, and we will make sure that invitation gets to the right person for that. Want to highlight some of the other presentations that we're going to have today, and I'm just going to look real quickly on a secondary screen and tell you that we have some Navy presentations, DevSecOps, and in a CI/CD pipeline. We have a lot of modernization presentations. That and software assurance are going to be our heaviest content at the summit, because that's what the community wanted, and that's what those who selected the abstracts to go to presentations had chosen. Want to highlight a quick couple other things here. Government software sustainment without being vendor locked. That's a very important topic for those of us in software where we're provided software from a prime, and then we have to sustain it. And wow, can we refactor the code? What do we have to do to improve that code or add capabilities for the warfighters that we all support? 10-second deployment using Docker containers, an important topic from an Army presenter. And very important things we'll hear about. And we just look forward to having you all there, and hope that you can all come and ask a lot of good questions. Hope you meet somebody there and are able to share and collaborate with new people whom you have maybe never met before across the services or within your own service. But I will turn the time back to the team. Hassan.
Highlight on what is really upcoming about the talks and then content. I would like to a little bit open up the motivations. Why really the software summit started? What is things we are feeling at? John, you said a really great concept at the beginning, software engineer to software engineer. That really strikes me a lot. We're going to talk about more in the topic, but more specifically, what was the motivation that makes you guys started those events? There are many community of interests happening, right? There are many things happening in the pocketed organizations, or there are a lot of conferences. What is really motivation? Can you talk about a little bit about motivation, John? that we are
Absolutely.
Software Summit?
Absolutely, Hassan. Yeah, thanks. So if you're, I think it was 2020, early 2021, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, right, released her DoD software modernization plan and then subsequent implementation plan. But right, that was the genesis of it all for us as the DoD to lead from the front and to bring our community together. Right, we needed to make our delivery times go from years to minutes. Right, we needed to have more resilient software capability, and quite honestly, to my boss, Dr. Vic Ramdas, right, he challenged us: stop admiring problems and get after it. And that's the guidance and criteria that we laid out to all of our technical session presenters, right, is to not have another conference where we get in and admire the problem or have another academic exercise, but we need to get after problems today and faster. That's with the right quality, right? So, right, that was our motivation. That's where we set out last year to bring the group together and do the right things. And I think we're hitting it out of the park, honestly, right? 70 technical sessions this year, and quite honestly, they were all high quality. They all got after problems, but we only were able to select about half of those as speakers at the event. So, yeah, over.
Yeah, thank you, John. Actually, that explains why this is becoming a very important, especially our community, because we have so many systems and software we are building around it. And I know software and modernization strategy talk about a lot of strategy perspective. I think all this technical talk, what we are saying, it's going to address a technical level that you clearly specified at the beginning, and same as Parker. Technical level means like, how are we solving the problems? We're not alone in this journey. Right? We are alone, we're going to get together and discuss and share those knowledge. But when I look at all this knowledge, I hear a lot of challenges. People are talking about the challenges. I'm going to turn over to Parker and specifically, and if you have anything insight, and Parker, about the challenges, what type of challenge you might be seeing it for delivering a software capabilities, how it is going to connect the summit, like maybe you can see what are the challenges people might be facing based on your awareness, and then we can connect the dots within community.
Yeah, thank you, Hassan. My organization, I'm part of the new U.S. Air Force Software Directorate, which consists of about 5,000 engineers and those who support those software engineers in adding capability to the U.S. Air Force weapon systems. And the very creation of the directorate was to help reduce some of the challenges we have, to make it easier for our warfighters to contact us, to come to us as a large organization with problems instead of visiting us at Tinker, Warner Robins, or Hill Air Force Base, but coming to the leadership of that directorate and then allowing the leadership to decide where that's going to get worked in our ecosystems. So other organizations are streamlining the way they function as well. Another challenge that we have as we realize and recognize that software drives our weapon systems, we learn that there are some things that we can improve to secure our weapon systems. I'm part of a software assurance community practice that's across the DoD, and we have folks from all of the services, as well as most of the FFRDCs, coming together to talk about solutions. And the subcommittee that I'm on, the SBOM subcommittee that I'm on, addresses one of those very specific items about what is in our software. How can we better secure our software? Let's find out first what is in our software. What's the ingredient list for all the different pieces? Who contributed to it? What countries, what companies, what developers? Are there any pieces of software that are risky for our weapon systems? Do we need to change those out? Do we need to refactor that code or rewrite the code or change the code to eliminate some of those risks that might be in the code from where it was produced or who it was produced by? So those are some of the challenges and some of the ways we're trying to solve them. But this subcommittee is developing some technical guidance for policy writers, because we know we have an executive order, we have some memoranda regarding SBOM and securing our supply chain, but policy is a little bit weak on the specifics of SBOM. We have software assurance and cyber security type of policies, but we need to enrich our policies related to SBOM and software supply chain risk management. And so this committee is providing some technical guidance, and we'll be publishing our recommendations as a community for the policy writers here the first quarter of calendar 2024. Hassan, did I address the question? Do you have any more specifics you would like? Thank you.
Actually, maybe I know you have a passion about the software supply chain SBOM. This is one of the big topic. It's also affecting and CTO process as well, CATO process specifically. Are we going to have any session on that topic in this upcoming software summit, Parker?
The continuous ATO?
Continuous ATO, software bill of materials,
okay,
or SBOM software assurances. I know there's topics and software assurances. Maybe yes, if we were about some upcoming talks on the topic.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have one of our speakers is going to be Dr. Alan Friedman from CISA, who is addressing the vulnerability side. So once we have the SBOM, what do we do with it? And one of the benefits of an SBOM, knowing the ingredient list, we can search that for weaknesses, and then Alan, Dr. Friedman, will be addressing the vulnerabilities and how we might address those. We'll also have a talk from the Linux Foundation, specifically about a format, an SPDX format for SBOMs. They're going to be adding some capability to the next release, SPDX 3.0, to help us in the DoD as well as everybody else who creates SBOMs to have fields that will provide additional information that will allow us to ensure our software is more secure by allowing us to collect that information and share that information. We want to know that information from our COTS and actually even our GOTS software suppliers. We need to know what components are in there and whether those specific weaknesses affect our programs. Not every weakness is going to affect every single program the same way, but that way we can have tailored responses program by program if we know what's in our software. Yeah, so those are the principal discussions we're going to be having, and we have numerous other software assurance presentations that will talk about aspects of securing code, improvements to static code analysis, how one group is using some specific AI approaches to improve static code analysis, and so there are other presentations that will address solutions to problems or coming solutions to problems. So over to you, Hassan.
I really like that to hear about the solutions and problem, because everybody knows what it is. And I'm looking for that all the topics will be about more solution oriented. Here's a solution, here's what we can do. And I'm going to go back to John. John, you said an interesting fact on this year's submission. You said we received almost more than 70 submission. It's really great. Like when you look at the acceptance rate, it's low, like almost less than 15%. What was the criteria selecting such a great submissions, almost more than 70, and make it a very specific selection to address the technical needs and tie into the software modernization, look at the challenges? It's really quite challenging, right? What was the process? Can you talk a little bit process and mindset that we selected all these speaking sessions?
Absolutely. Thanks, Hassan. So one, again, we were completely overwhelmed with the amount of submissions. Over 70 was fantastic, just an amount that we couldn't imagine just being in our second year. And as I mentioned, right, we had to quickly get with the contracting folks to make an amendment just to get an extra room, because we were originally only slotted for about 18 speaking roles. So we doubled that immediately as fast as we could. But to answer your question, right, and I talked a little bit about how Parker and I are not doing this sitting behind the keyboards in our cubes and offices. We have relied on the functional experts for each one of the tracks that we talked about, right? Whether it's DevSecOps or software assurance or development on the cloud. So we assigned about 2 to 3 functional experts to each one of those tracks. As submissions came in, they had a particular criteria. One, right, it couldn't admire the problem. There needed to be a solution or the talk about a solution, right? A good challenge and a good conversation to get after the problem, to not just re-talk about it. And that was the primary guidance that we gave them. Now, there was some scoring criteria of, how well has the content matured or the technology in which they may be proposed. But I'll tell you, there was no low scores. We had a tough job of saying we got 70. There was no real cut line. How do we do this and do it smartly? And we have other opportunities as well, right? We've shared the technical session and how we have 37 speaking roles and whatnot. But what we didn't talk about is we've also offered opportunities in our exhibit hall. We didn't talk about that, right? Attached to all of this is the exhibit hall, where we have about 108 vendors already across the maintenance and software community. And within that, what we have is a knowledge bar. So you'll find some of those speakers that might not have been in a technical session offering themselves up in the knowledge bar to take about 15 to 20 minutes and more of an informal session to talk to the community about that. So yes, bottom line is it was extremely hard, but we're extremely grateful for the interest. And we know, right, just like we said last year, we're coming, we're going to get bigger, we're going to be better quality every year, we're going to get after problems, we're going to make a difference. So Hassan, I hope that answered your question. Parker, if you want to add at all.
Parker,
I think you covered it, John.
Great.
I think John covered it great. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a really challenging all the time. So I'm going to dive a little bit about the summit again. And I know people may be asking, what is it here for me? Do I have to go? Do I have to be a software engineer to be in that summit? Or do I have to be a hardcore hardware engineer with a system? Any ideas about the targeted audience of expecting? Parker, you may highlight, since you are one of the contributors last year and this year as well as John, do you want to chime in about the primary audience, or who is the right audience in this conference that we're expecting?
Thank you, Hassan. That's a very good question. We had people ask us last year, and we've had people ask us along the way in our own organizations, who should we send? Who do you want us to send? Is it for leaders? Is it for brand new engineers out of college? Is it for SMEs? Is it for journeyman engineers, software engineers? And the answer is really yes to all of those questions. There will be content for the senior leaders to certainly some of the strategy discussions that will be held in the maintenance symposium, and they will be able to rub shoulders with some of the senior leaders, like John mentioned earlier. Also, for the new engineers, they may learn some new techniques, something that they hadn't thought of in how to develop the software they're working on, or some of the cybersecurity approaches that might be undertaken. We have a presentation on penetration testing from an Air Force community that has done some novel work in that area, and they'll talk about how they've staffed their team and the things that they do. So there are specific learnings that can happen for the wide variety. And SMEs, we really like SMEs to participate in this, depending on whether you're a SME in DevSecOps, whether you're a product owner, whether your role is to supervise a team. There will be things that you can learn that you can take back to your teams, and you can participate in the discussions. We need people with knowledge to be able to participate with intelligent discussion to help contribute to the discussion. And in the schedule, you will notice more time for Q&A and more time for just intermingling with your fellow participants at the summit. We've added some time to allow people to have that informal collaboration where a lot of work actually gets done. a lot of work doesn't necessarily happen sitting, listening to a presentation, but a lot of work happens and a lot of great interactions happen where people can make contacts and share once the sessions are over. And I will turn that back to Hassan.
Thank you, Parker. Actually, I was one of the attendees last year as well as speaker as well. I got a lot of benefits after session discussion. I remember my session wasn't able to finish up the slides, and it turned out to be a great discussions and a great questionnaire. So what we're basically expecting, if we have anything to say in the life cycle perspective, I'm a manager or an engineer or doer or planner, we have something to do for those participants. Like they will learn something attending those sessions and learning. So basically, we are expecting the people who are right to say something in this software lifecycle perspective. We have a question from our listeners, and question is there any app we can use to help to navigate to the summit? Any ideas, Parker and John, about app? Or our website will be app?
Oh yes, an app, Hassan, absolutely. So SAE, and your standard iTunes or Google search or iPhone, you look for the SAE app. I don't know if it's live yet, but this year we'll offer some different alternatives where, one, the program will be in there and you'll be able to select what you want to attend and build your own schedule in there. Additionally, for the knowledge bar and different booths, you'll be able to schedule times and meetings with certain folks. As an example, you'll be able to select my name if someone was wanting to meet with me, send me a direct message and set up a time in one of the meeting spaces that are there. So SAE has taken the next step with their app and has offered and now offers a lot of opportunity like that.
That goes back to the second question I got from audience, like how the people will connect the speakers. I'm assuming that app will help to connect the speakers.
Yep.
And Parker, you said there was a feedback from last year. People likes to more chat about it. People likes to talk more about it. I'm assuming that will answer people's needs in terms of chatting and talking, right? So probably we can dive into a little bit more how the people they're going to communicate and how we can have enough session or enough time between the speaking sessions or the speakers or other people can get together and talk.
Yeah, so Hassan, I could take that. So a couple things, lessons learned from last year. One, after every technical session, there will be a 15-minute transition period to the next. Mm-hmm. That's a minimum. Second, we also built in breaks, about 15 minutes, some are even a half an hour long, right, to mingle around the exhibit hall or around the conference rooms that'll be there where there'll be refreshments. In addition to that, new this year, we have an OSD booth sponsored by the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Sustainment, Honorable Lohman. And part of that is we're going to select particular technical sessions that seem to have questions that weren't answered or really great dialogue, and we're going to have those speakers make themselves available for a particular time within that booth, and the app will manage that. So as an example, it'll say Parker Bauer is now available in the ASDS booth at 1500, and he'll be here till 1530. Come by if you have any questions or if you want to have any follow-on dialogue. So yes, we have a lot more content, and we also hopefully built in enough space to network and have sidebar conversations.
That actually, I was planning to ask a question at the beginning, how the summit will help us to communicate and collaborate. I see a great plan. People can communicate, people can share their ideas, people can get together and talk and say, we are in the same team, let's get together and talk. I'm really excited to hear that. So I'm just gonna go back and discuss a little bit more, and for the specific topic that I know we covered a lot of great topics so far. If you give an idea for attendees, and I am assuming there will be a not parallel track, a single track all the time, right? So people not going to miss any other talks. They will be able to go and the sessions and stay over there. Not a parallel track. Any ideas or single parallel? If they miss the session, what are they going to do? As an example.
Yeah, so if they missed a session, right, we'll have the slides made available at a later date, about week and a half later. We populate those to the website, so you could, if you miss a track or miss a session that you wanted to attend, you can see that they will not be recorded. However, the slides will be there. Additionally, I mentioned, right, folks making themselves available at other times, right? So if you're on track 1, but you wanted to learn a little bit more about track 2 or ask some specific questions, I would direct you to, right, the exhibit hall knowledge bar in that booth to connect with that person.
Great. Parker, you mentioned about the tutorial. So you want to talk about a little bit tutorial? I know we have a deep dive session for tutorials, and talks are less time, but tutorials a little bit longer. Any thoughts on the tutorials as highlights that upcoming tutorials? Parker has some audio issues. We're expecting he's going to chime in shortly.
Hassan, while we're waiting for Parker's audio to catch up, if I could just kind of talk about success of the summit, right? If you recall last year, you know, and even this year, we often get challenged to say, well, what's a successful event? How do you know you've collaborated enough? What's the outcome of all these folks traveling to San Diego and getting together, right? And we really simplify this. So as you're a participant and you're showing up, we give you 3 goals. We ask that everyone come there and expand your network. So meet someone new. Sit down, have lunch, grab a Coke, tea, whatever during breakfast, and meet someone new, whether in your community or outside of your community, right? Because this isn't just software folks in here. You'll have maintainers from across the department as well, hardware, right? 2 is learn something new, whether it's in your particular focus area or outside of it, right? So we challenge you to go sit on a different track that you don't know something about. And then 3 is spend some time collaborating with a colleague that's in another service, in industry, at a different activity. Collaborate on a similar problem, right? You, Hassan, and Parker may have a similar problem. You both sit in different seats. Have lunch, collaborate about that problem, share your lessons learned, share your best practices, and then collaborate.
I don't want to step on anybody.
Parker, I could hear you. So Hassan, those were the 3 goals of the success criteria.
I guess I'm getting prompted to speak even though I'm still hearing John in my ear. Hopefully it's coming across. Sorry, John. I unfortunately my audio is just not even coming in. So I'm gonna quickly speak, and I'm gonna just mention the tutorial. We're real excited about that. It's for people who are a little more experienced. Last year, our 2 tutorials were phenomenal. They were heavily attended, and we hope to see more of that this year. There's a lot of interaction between the participants in that DevSecOps. So we look forward to seeing people sign up and coming in, listening to Hassan and some of the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parker and John. So as we are wrapping up today's session, I really thank you for both of you highlighting the summit and the talks and the mindset behind it, how it really connects the software and modernization strategy as well, what things are coming up. And as a closing out, do you have any words to edit, John, like key takeaways or anything else you can wrap up as your last couple of words that you would like to say for our audience?
Absolutely, Hassan. Thanks. All right. So everyone, we look forward to seeing you there, right? To engage, to collaborate, and to influence the way forward, right? To get after these problems and not admire it, because it's important. It's important we're a joint force, joint coalition, and this gets after that. So look forward to seeing you all there. And 2, if you're coming, I strongly encourage that you utilize the hotel reservation link within the chat. I know some of you DoD folks might say you need to wait for your DTS. What I would tell you is those room blocks are filling up fast. I think we had about 650 already in the room blocks as of yesterday. So I strongly encourage that you do that so you don't miss out on standing at the fantastic Grand Hyatt in San Diego, which is positioned perfectly for the symposium / summit. So Hassan, thank you again, and thanks to the whole SCI team for this opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you so much for attending the slide and sharing your thoughts and ideas. Thank you so much, Parker, for you as well. You share a lot of great insights. And I would like to thank for all of you attending our session today. This is just a highlight what you hear today, what you have been seeing it. You're gonna have a lot of great content and talk and upcoming event. Again, remember, date is December 18 until 21. I know it's the last week, just before Christmas, but you will learn a lot. I kind of think about the software summit last year I attended. It was a great get together and know. It looks like for me is a treat day and understanding what the landscape looks like and feel that I'm comfortable. I'm not alone in this space. I'm hoping you guys are joining our sessions and be part of the community. Let's solve this problem together. And I would like to thank all of you for attending today. And I'm looking forward to see you all at the DevOps the summit as well, software summit in December 18th. Thank you for all.